Good evening, a really warm welcome to St Hilda's Church here in Beedlam Norton. A real joy and privilege actually to welcome you to this particular presentation of Tilly's experiences in South America. And it's such a key time. She's just about to go to university, that wonderful threshold that she's going to take next week. And for all of us, I think in the midst of, we've watched Tilly grow up. She, with us and her mum and dad, have been such a key part of the life and witness of this church, but also across the benefice, taking starring roles at Kirkdale Church and all the other churches, but doing so much, being part of Messy Church and being part of Footsteps, but reading on the first Sunday of the month and all sorts of things, which she's coming now to hopefully get you Gold Duke of Edinburgh, aren't you? And we were just reviewing it during the week and all the things that Tilly has done for this community in so many ways. We're just so proud of you. And I just say, let's enjoy this, and then we send Tilly on her way to university. But thank you for coming in this evening. And I'm so excited to hear what you think.
Thank you. Hi everyone, thank you for coming to my presentation this evening. I hope you enjoy hearing about my South American adventures. So just to start with, I've got a map here of South America, just to show you the locations of where I was. So the first country I visited was Costa Rica, next I went to Ecuador, and then I went to Peru. So my first destination was Costa Rica for 4 weeks, and whilst I was there, I was staying at a Spanish school called Academia Chica, where I studied for the first week, and I stayed in the student house there for the entirety of my time. Here is a collection of the photos that I took whilst I was there. So whilst I was in Costa Rica, my volunteering project was helping at a local daycare centre in Coronado, just outside of San Jose. This is a picture of me with baby Ariana at the project on one of my last days. The project was hard work because we had to help the staff look after the children and young babies and feed them at lunch times, look after them in the playground and also in the classroom. I enjoyed the project, but it was challenging because there were lots and lots of children and not many staff there.
Hang on, can you go back? Can I just say, when Tiz told us about this picture, so the baby, apparently on the, was it the last day?
Yes.
The last day, when they went to go and play, the only person that she wanted to be with on the last day was Tiz, which is why she's got a picture with that.
Yeah. So this is a picture of me and my friend Magdalena on one of our first trips with the Spanish school. So during my time in Costa Rica, we did afternoon trips organised by the Spanish school, and we went there with the staff and other volunteers. This is a picture of me and my friend by a waterfall at El Iral Cloud Forest, just outside of San Jose. Now this picture isn't very clear, but it's a picture of the Poas volcano crater, which is another one of the afternoon trips I did with the Spanish school. It's not a very clear picture because we went and it was very cloudy and we couldn't see anything. It cleared for about 3 seconds. We took a photo and it was gone. So that's the only photo I have of the volcano. This is a picture of a sloth called Latte at the Toucan Rescue Ranch that we visited with the Spanish school. They had lots of other animals there, including toucans and macaws, but my favourite animal is a sloth, so I took lots of pictures of those. This picture shows one of the Holy Week processions that I saw when I was there. So my first week in Costa Rica was actually during Holy Week, so I had lots of opportunities to go to the church services and to see the local processions through the streets. I also went to one in Coronado, which is where my accommodation was, but this was the biggest one that I saw. And it was very long. I was definitely there for at least a couple of hours. And as we walked through the streets, different people performed scenes from the Bible. And I took lots of pictures of the statues that they carried. Okay, so after Costa Rica, I spent 4 weeks in Ecuador. During my time there, I stayed with the host family in the capital city, Quito. So this is a picture of Colegio Particular Federico Gauss, which is the college that I helped at when I was there. My role was to be an assistant English teacher in the classroom, but I also was sometimes left to take some classes by myself. One of the activities that I did with the students was hangman, because they really enjoyed it and it was a good way for them to practice their English vocabulary. Here is a picture of me standing at the second centre of the world, which I went to. Is that working?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Which I went to on my first weekend trip when I was in Ecuador. This is a picture that I took when I was visiting the Biscotto factory in Cayambe. Biscotto is a typical biscuit made only in Cayambe, and they are typically eaten with cheese and a sauce called dulce de leche. So this picture I took from a viewpoint, and it's of Toachi River Canyon. I took this on the way back from my visit to Kyoto Lagoon, which I'll talk more about later. Okay, so the final country that I visited in South America was Peru. I also stayed with the host family here, and I was in Cusco, which is at high altitude.
Wow.
This is one of my favourite photos. Okay, so when I was in Peru, my volunteering project was helping at Cotahuasi Animal Sanctuary, and my role was to help the staff feed and clean out the animals, as well as providing tours for English-speaking visitors. This picture is of my favourite baby cereal alpaca at the sanctuary. This picture might not be very pleasant for some of you, but it is fried guinea pig with a side of potatoes and stuffed pepper, which I ate on one of my final days in Peru. I had tried guinea pig earlier in the month, but it was cold and I hadn't really enjoyed it, so I decided to walk to a local restaurant and order it for myself. It was very delicious. Lots of people ask me what it tastes like, and it tastes like chicken. This is another picture that I took when I was at the animal sanctuary during one of my project days. It's a picture of the tortoise called Matilda, and one of our jobs was to feed them, and it was a job that required lots of patience because they're incredibly slow at eating. They really enjoyed eating watermelon, but this particular one was a very fast eater. So this picture may seem a little bit strange, but it is in fact a tourist attraction in Cusco. It's a 12-angled stone that is in the side of a building, and I was just passing and thought, I'll take a photo because it's supposed to be a tourist attraction. Okay, on the next few slides, I'm going to show you some pictures of my favourite memories from South America. On my first weekend in Costa Rica, I went on a nature tour through San Jose with my friend. We were the only ones on the tour, so the guide was able to tell us lots of information. I was very surprised on this tour because we were just in the city of San Jose, which in my personal opinion isn't a very attractive city, but we did see sloths in the trees around the universities. So during the tour we saw 1 3-toed sloth and 2 2-toed sloths, and this one is a 3-toed sloth. Okay, so the day after my trip to San Jose to see the sloths, I had to get up at 3 a.m. to go to Isla Tortuga, which was my next weekend trip. It was a very long day, but it was worth it because when I was there I felt like I was in paradise. When we arrived on the island, we went snorkeling, we went dolphin watching, and for lunch we had a traditional Costa Rican meal called casado. I had it with fish, and it consisted of rice, black beans, and salad. This is a picture of me on the island. Despite the name Isla Tortuga, there are actually no turtles in the waters around the island. So my next highlight was actually my favourite weekend when I was in Costa Rica. It was my visit to Puerto Viejo. Had to take a long coach ride to get there, but it was worth it because our hotel was right next to the beach. This is a picture of me on the beach right outside our hotel. The beach is called Playa Negra because of the black sands. I really enjoyed this trip. There was lots of opportunities to try the local cuisine, and it was very warm, so we spent most of the time in the water. Here are some pictures from my trip to Manuel Antonio National Park in Costa Rica. We went on a day trip through the national park, and it was a great opportunity to see lots of wildlife, including monkeys and, of course, sloths. This is a picture of an iguana that when I opened my door on the last morning in Manuel Antonio, I found right outside my room. Okay, so here are some highlights of my trip to Ecuador. So as I mentioned earlier, I went to Quilotero Lagoon. I went there with another volunteer, and it was a really fantastic day trip. After a long bus journey, we then had to walk down into the crater to get to the lagoon. It was really long and hard walk because it was quite steep, and the path that we walked down was very sandy. But here's a picture of me at the bottom, and when we got there we were very, very warm, and we wanted to go into the water and swim. Some people told us we couldn't, some people told us we could. Eventually we found someone who told us that if we went over there where no one could see us, we could go for a swim in the lagoon. I actually only went in for about 5 seconds because it was freezing cold, but it was worth the experience. Okay, so whilst I was in Ecuador, I couldn't miss the opportunity to spend some time in the Amazon. So I went for a 5-day and 4-night trip there. I have to admit, I don't have very many pictures from the Amazon. Because it rained the majority of the time, I didn't want to wreck my phone before I could take more photos. So I haven't got many at all. But I did get this one, which was when I was on the 2-hour journey along the Curubeno River. So what happened is after an 11-hour coach journey from Quito, we arrived at the Curubeno Bridge. Then we had to wait many hours for our guide to eventually turn up. And when he turned up, we had to take a 2-hour boat journey along the river to our accommodation. It was an incredibly long day. But luckily, it didn't rain on the journey, so we didn't get soaked before we'd actually arrived. Here is a picture of the lodge that I stayed at. Along the Curubeno River, there's about 15 lodges. And this is a picture of mine. It's the Canon Bueno Lodge, and whilst I was there, activities included piranha fishing and paddle canoeing. Unfortunately, when you're in the Amazon, you come face to face with many insects, including bullet ants and tarantulas. And on my penultimate night, there was a tarantula in my bedroom on my window, and I was not happy. I asked the member of staff to remove it for me, and it eventually disappeared. So whilst I was in Ecuador, I also couldn't miss the opportunity to go to the Galapagos Islands. I'm very grateful for this opportunity because it was a fantastic experience. I flew from Quito, and my friend Magdalena flew from her nearest airport while she was in Ecuador, and we met there to spend 6 days together. So here are some pictures from the Galapagos Islands. I'll just give you a moment to have a look, because there's quite a few on that slide.
Yeah.
So before I talk about my trip to Galapagos, I did just want to show you a map of the islands. So I flew from Quito, which was a short distance from my accommodation, and I flew to Baltra Island, which is just here. There were only 2 airports on the Galapagos Islands. So I flew to Baltra, where I met my friend, and then we took a water taxi to Santa Cruz, which is one of 3 inhabited islands. I stayed on Santa Cruz for 3 nights, and then took a ferry to San Cristobal. During my trip to the Galapagos Islands, I also visited an uninhabited island, which was Santa Fe, and I visited the 3rd and the largest island, Isabella, where I saw some flamingos. This is one of my favourite pictures. So this is a picture of me and my friend Magdalena snorkeling in the Galapagos Islands. There were so many opportunities to snorkel there, and it was incredible because we saw so much wildlife. Some of the species we saw were white-tipped sharks, black-tipped sharks, lots of turtles, sea lions, and parrotfish. This is a picture of Kicker Rock, which I saw when I was on a 360 tour around San Cristobal. We went snorkeling here and saw sharks and turtles. This is a picture that I took when I was visiting Isabella Island. It's a picture of a Galapagos penguin. This is a picture I saw that I got when we were on a boat tour, and it's a picture of a blue-footed booby. We also saw red-footed and Nazca boobies when I was in the Galapagos Islands. When I was on Isabella Island, we took a tour, and one of the places we went to was a giant tortoise breeding site for the Galapagos tortoises, and we saw loads of tortoises there. Here's some highlights from Peru. So during my first weekend there, I went on a hike to see the Costa Blanca viewpoint. It was only supposed to be about an hour, but it was very hard work because there were lots of stairs and the altitude and the heat. It was a lot. As well as that, I got chased by some wild dogs, which I did not like, and had to redirect my route 3 times to avoid more dogs. Here is a closer picture of the Costa Blanca statue. Whilst I was at Costa Blanca, there is some ruins called Sacsayhuaman ruins. It's very hard to pronounce. I didn't enter, but from where I was, I could take some nice photos of the ruins. So my favourite weekend trip when I was in Peru was my visit to Rainbow Mountain, which is at 5,200 metres above sea level. This is a picture of me at the top of Rainbow Mountain. I took a horse for the first 30 minutes because of the altitude, but then it gets to the point where the horses can't go any further, and so I had to hike for 20 minutes, which doesn't sound very long at all, but it was incredibly difficult because of the altitude, and I had to take lots of breaks, but the view was worth it from the top. This is a picture of me after being at the top of the mountain with the horse Valiente that I rode up on. I couldn't miss the opportunity to see Machu Picchu when I was in Peru, so here are some photos of my weekend trip to the Aguas Calientes town and Machu Picchu. This is the picture that the guide took for me of the view of Machu Picchu just before we started a 3-hour tour around the ruins. And this is a picture after I'd been in the Aguas Calientes natural hot springs. It was really nice. There were lots of different temperatures. I avoided the freezing cold pools and showers and enjoyed the very hot ones. Whilst I was there, I couldn't resist the opportunity to have a pina colada in one of the pools. I did try lots of good food when I was in South America, and as well as guinea pig, another one that I really enjoyed was alpaca steak. So this is a picture of my alpaca steak that I ate in Machu Picchu town. My final weekend trip in South America was a trip to Lake Titicaca to see some of the islands. It was worth it, but it was an incredibly long journey overnight. After arriving at Puno, after travelling from Cusco, we got picked up and then went on a ferry to visit this island, which is one of the Uros floating islands. It's a picture of some of the locals holding up their artwork, but behind you can see the buildings, which are made of the same material as the island. So all the islands of the Uros floating islands are man-made with an aquatic plant. The next island visited was Amantani Island, and we stayed here overnight with a host family. On that evening, we took a walk up to the top of Pachachatá, which is the highest point on the island, and this is a picture of me at the top. The final island we visited on the lake was the following day, and we went to Tequila Island. This is a picture of me with some of the locals after they performed traditional dances and music for us. Thank you all so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it. Before we finish, I want to show you a video that I made to promote Plan My Gap Year, which is the travel company that I used when I was there. They organise my accommodation and projects for me in each country. I hope you enjoyed the video.
Dad, you've got it on twice. Might play both.
I have to sing a bit, is what your dad does this.
I'm not doing that.
Hold the mic over here, please.
Hi, my name is Tilly and I'm 19 years old. I have recently returned from the Plan My Gap Year in South America and Canada, which has been my first solo travel experience. I visited 3 countries in 3 months: Costa Rica, Ecuador and Peru. During my time abroad, I helped out with different volunteer projects and spent my free time and weekends visiting new and exciting places, including the Galapagos Islands and Machu Picchu. In this video, I'm going to talk about my experience and why you should join this Plan My Gap Year adventure. In Costa Rica, I joined the childcare program and helped out at a local daycare centre. In the mornings, I would either help the staff in the classroom or I would be outside looking after the children during their break time. In the afternoon, I would help the staff get the babies and children seated for lunch and then help to feed them. The project was challenging.
Quick, wind it up, Tiz. It's alright, it's just slow enough.
Let's hope it
The most energetic children is tiring, but you really feel like you're making a positive impact. In Ecuador, I was volunteering as an assistant English teacher at a local college. I really enjoyed this project and it helped me to develop new skills and work on communication. My top tip for this project is to be prepared with a few activities to help the students work on their English in case you have to take the lead in some classes. My favourite volunteering project was the Wildlife Rescue Project in Peru. I spent 4 weeks at an animal sanctuary just outside of Cusco, helping the staff to feed and clean out the animals and provide tours for English-speaking visitors. We have lots of different animals at the sanctuary, including alpacas, tortoises, pumas and the incredible Andean condors. This project is an exciting opportunity to learn more about wildlife in Peru, and you can be part of the mission to save endangered species from extinction. Once you're signed up for the South American Encounter, the Plan My Gap Year staff will organise your accommodation for each country. In Costa Rica, I stayed at the Academia Ticas
Technical issues.
in student accommodation, and in Ecuador and Peru, I stayed with local host families. Both options were great as you can meet other volunteers, try lots of local cuisine. I highly recommend eating picnic in Peru. Immerse yourself in the local cultures and practice your Spanish. Travelling with Plan My Gap Year gives you the opportunity to combine impactful volunteering with exciting weekend adventures. I visited so many incredible places in South America, including Puerto Viejo, the Amazon, the Galapagos Islands, Rainbow Mountain, Machu Picchu, and Lake Titicaca. The local Plan My Gap Year staff can provide advice and help you to organise amazing weekend trips. The project staff are also often happy for you to take a few days off, so you can make the most of your time away. All you need to do is ask. You won't regret choosing the Plan My Gap Year South American Encounter. I had a great time visiting new places, making new friends, and trying new things. Visit the Plan My Gap Year website to learn more and read about other volunteers' experiences.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it. If anyone's got any questions, I'll be really happy to answer them. You can ask me now or afterwards, I don't mind. Thank you.
It's food.
We do have lots of food there, as you're more than welcome to stay.
Volunteers.
Well done. We're so proud of you. In fact, as Gwenwood would say, you are our hero. We've put a little bag together, the people at St Hilda's, to send you on your way to Cardiff, just as pieces. We are really proud of you. That was excellent. And I want to do a gap year. It's kind of do the gap years for. I don't know when the cut-off age is. I hope it's if it's 70 or 80. That would be wonderful. Yeah. But well done. That was so fascinating. And just thank you for giving this presentation. Thank you for all you've done over the last decade or so here. Have the most wonderful time at Cardiff. Seize every opportunity. But come back and see us now and again and tell us all about it. And have the most wonderful, wonderful time.
Thank you.
Should we give her a round of applause?
I also forgot to mention I have bought some of the souvenirs that I bought when I was there if you'd like to have a look. Thank
please do come and join us for some food